Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we are doing a bonus stream for The Chosen of Valhalla because last time we did a stream, a lot of them couldn't show up. And so I decided to do a bonus stream for December. That way everyone could get a chance to come in and talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about, because I think there's a lot of things to discuss with things like The Mandalorian episode 4. I want to hear Laura's thoughts on that because it's always interesting to get that dynamic, because I feel like a lot of times we disagree on things, but it's good because it means that we have really good discussions about, what we disagree on. And then, of course, also Tina is back from her cruise, and I want to find out about Tina's cruise. Absolutely want to find out about Tina's cruise and all the details about that. And Rosetta Allen is joining us once again as well. And please, everyone, send your thoughts and prayers to Rosetta because she's dealing with some pain right now. So thank you again, Rosetta, for joining us. But let's start off with Laura. Laura, how are you doing?
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Hi.
It's morning out here.
Yes.
I'm good, just trying to get some coffee so I can wake up this morning.
Absolutely. And we were just saying how you're going to be watching your 49ers in about an hour or so?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's a good year to get back into football for me, so that worked out. But yeah, they play I think they've only had one loss this year, so we're doing good.
All right.
It's very exciting.
I say that's very good, especially it's come a long way since the very small wins of the latter years of the Colin Kaepernick era.
Yeah, Colin. Oh my God, Colin Kaepernick. Oh, Lord, we're hoping for a Patriots-Niners Super Bowl because that would be epic. Because this guy, our current quarterback, has some history with the Patriots, so that would be very cool. He was Brady's backup for a while, I believe. So
okay, what's his name?
I don't know now that you asked me. It's gone. No,
It is fluttered
he's more
away.
handsome than he's more handsome than the I need more coffee.
Okay. No problem.
let me wake up.
It's no problem at all. But yeah, because I think that'd be cool too. I'm not a huge football fan, but I do like when there's stories involved, and whenever it's quarterback gets revenge on former team, that type of thing. I like that I like those stories, whether it's the quarterback or whatever player it might be. So awesome. Very cool.
They need to do research on that. It's like, why, when you have an answer that when somebody asks you a question, it just leaves your brain. It's like, nope.
It happens to all of us, though. I mean, that's why because I've been doing this podcast with John Flickinger, and every time we talk about an actor or director, like constantly, I'm like, wait, what was his name again? Wait, what was her name again? Wait, what? And then I'm literally Googling on air because I just need to know what's going on.
Oh my God.
I won't even make the smart aleck jokes. I'm thinking of that.
All right. And Tina, how's it going,
Yes.
Tina?
I'm well. I'm still detoxing after about 12 straight days of various alcohol, and then went to some friends for Thanksgiving and they had alcohol. So yeah, high on chat reviews. And it was a fantastic trip. I am so in love with New Orleans. I really am. And I was almost sorry I was taking the cruise because the city is just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And we did so much. We went to Acme's and then Felix's the next night. Oh my gosh, Cafe du Monde, Cafe Vignette. I took pictures of the Joan of Arc statue, which is beautiful. We walked through the French Quarter. We walked about 4 miles a day. Sharon was there with me. She only did the New Orleans part. Oh my gosh. Went to Commander's Palace for lunch on the 14th.
Oh, that's a good
one.
Oh,
it was so good. And we tried to get in the Lafayette Cemetery, but there were chains on every entrance. And somebody called, I guess, the main office, and they said it's been closed down for renovations. And then someone told me later they're only going to start allowing group tours like they do over at, I think, St. Louis number 1, because there's so much, the tourists come in and they do things. And we walked from Commander's Palace over to St. Charles, walked down St. Charles like 2 miles or so, taking pictures, ended up at the Pontchartrain Hotel. We had something at the Bayou Bar, went up to the rooftop bar. We walked through the French Quarter. We walked through Jackson Square. We went to St. Louis Cathedral, and we lucked out. It was 30 minutes before Mass, so we got to walk around the church. Sharon bought me a little Joan of Arc statue, and she said, well, I know you're not Catholic. And I said, well, Sharon, if I was, Joan of Arc is my favorite saint. So that was very appropriate. So we saw the street performers. We went to Voodoo Authentica. I had a reading, and the guy told me pretty much everything I already knew anyway. and we didn't get to go on the Natchez, but we walked on Saturday. We walked from the French Quarter to Harris Casino to meet some friends of mine, one of whom was going on the cruise with me. That was like a 2-mile walk. But you're seeing so many things. It's like, it really doesn't matter. Then on my last Sunday there, we went to the House of Blues Sunday Gospel Brunch, and that was such a great way to end my time there and then get ready to start my cruise.
It's amazing because the cruise is filled with alcohol, and yet the port is also full of alcohol because it's the city of New Orleans.
Yes. We went to the Sharon loves Sazeracs. I don't like absinthe. And we went to the Sazerac bar where they first created them. We went to the Carousel bar where the bar actually rotates in slow motion. So we got 2 seats there. Went to Pasca Manali's and had barbecued shrimp. That was Saturday night, my last Saturday night there. Cruise was great. I'd never been on that ship before. We hit Cozumel, which is one of my favorite ports. Went to a place called Poncho's Backyard, which is about 2 miles from where our ship was. And they had like this beautiful beachfront and this great view. And we had a good time there. Didn't really like Roatan very much, but we didn't do an excursion. We just kind of stayed around in the port area, and they're still working on that. Costa Maya, I wish we had stayed on the ship. There were 3 other ships in port with us at the same time. And if you're figuring each ship hosts 3,000 to 4,000 people and you're in this little congested area, I was really starting to lose it. And we went to Belize, and Norwegian has a facility there. So we just kind of went out and sat in loungers for about a half hour or so and just enjoyed the sun and the beachfront and everything. So the ship was really nice. I kind of got VIP treatment because I do know some people with Norwegian in the higher ups. So it was like every day when I come back to my cabin, I had chocolate covered strawberries, more alcohol, hors d'oeuvres, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Spoiled you. They spoiled you, it sounds like.
Spoiled me. So everything. It was great. It was great. So I flew home Monday, went to get my bag off the carousel, and American Airlines looked like they had sawed off one of the front wheels.
Oh no.
So I'm the bag, I set it on the floor when I pulled it off the carousel. Is my biggest bag. And this guy behind me, I'm at home, and this guy behind me was like, oh, let me catch that. And I'm like, why is my bag falling over? And I looked, and I mean, the wheel, it looked like they just took a saw and was just like, we're going to cut her wheel off. So I filed a claim while I was at the airport, and now I'm going to jump through hoops. But it's Christmas time, so, I can buy a new bag.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. With Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals especially, you'll probably get a pretty good deal on one.
Exactly. Yeah, because this is my biggest bag. It's like a 29-inch, and, that's the one that I use for my longest cruises. So, and I think I had announced it in the chat. I'm the only Valkyrie this morning. Stephanie B has some things to do, but I will tell her that you all are saying hello.
Yes, indeed. Well, we're glad to have you back, and we're glad that you had a good time.
Back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And as someone put in the chat, it sounds like you were on a booze cruise.
A booze cruise.
I was thinking, glad you had fun, you bit of a lush.
And that's the most drinking that I will do is when I'm on cruises. I'll do that much drinking, and then it's like when I'm back at home, I just cut it out until my next cruise. I'll have a beer maybe or something like that. But no, it's not like cocktail before dinner, wine with dinner, cocktail after dinner. It's not that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And because with cruises, aren't the drinks included?
No,
Okay.
no. When I get packages through Norwegian, they throw in a beverage package.
Okay.
And then that way you can get up to like a $15 maximum. Well, that pretty much covers everything.
Mm-hmm.
So no, they got to make money.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Especially with all the drinking you seem to have been doing on that. I mean,
Well, and there were people that were doing. I saw one of your Louisiana people.
oh God, I bet they were putting it down.
He was on an elevator. He's wearing flip flops. He's eating ice cream, and the ice cream is dripping onto his feet. And we're all trying not to laugh. He didn't even know what floor he had pushed. And somebody had to tell him, that's the floor you pushed. Oh, okay. And I was like, oh my gosh.
That sounds like Louisiana. Definitely sounds like Louisiana, that's for sure.
Well, you see how drunk people get when they pay for their drinks. Can you imagine them being unlimited free? It would not be pretty.
I know.
That'd be awful.
I know. And it's some of them that are plastic. When we're leaving the port, they're already crawling on the floor. And it's like, we've only been on the ship like 4 or 5 hours. How the heck are you doing this? Yes, thank you very much, Alex McCarthy.
I just saw it too.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. I was about to call to him and be like, he knows what I'm talking about. He's from Louisiana too. He knows exactly what he's talking about right now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm clueless. I've never been to the South, so hey.
Yeah, well, it's very much like, it's like that cruise, at least in New Orleans, it's like that cruise, but 24/7. So
yeah. I noticed that New Orleans because we started heading back to our hotel just as the French Quarter was starting to hop and Bourbon Street. And it was like, nope, got to get back to the hotel.
There may be smaller versions, but trust me, you go down to like Lee, Deadwood and that in the old West towns and you're not much better. It's drinking and gambling 24/7. They're little towns, but they're a little bit psycho.
Oh, for sure. And speaking of which, Rosetta, how are you doing? I know that you're in a bit of pain, but otherwise you're doing okay.
I'm kind of honest on this. I won't go into details of the first injury. Needless to say, there's actual muscle tissue and organs reknitting together right now. And threw my back out Wednesday and had several really, really public meltdowns where Tom and Drunk and Ryan and them all came to my defense. So I'm here, but I'm not that together this week.
But you're here, and I think that's an important thing.
No, I mean, I really melted down Wednesday on stream, and then Drunk raided my stream with his. So,
well, Drunk 3PO, and this is like not to randomly segue to him, but that dude is like legit. Like that guy does so much. It's amazing. And I will shout that guy out every single day of the week because that dude is like, he might not like me wording it this way, but he is like a walking, living saint. He's not perfect, but dear Lord, the amount of good work he does is amazing.
And, I got to give credit, I've had, because the anti-fandom people are so tolerant and loving, they noticed that I posted to my friends about the medical and they decided to harass my page all week. And I've had so many of them at my defense, but I mean, last night was ahead because they harassed Jetty at his stream because they wanted to annoy me. And I go on to mine after, and Ryan comes over after he'd been streaming almost 5 hours with everyone else for all the events and stuff to check on me, talk with me, and see how I'm doing too. So
yeah, Ryan's RK Epos, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
he's also another really, really good dude too.
So we have a good community. I swear this year you guys have been more useful than you know to me. I'm emotional. I post emotionally, and I'm getting private messages from Tom and all of them checking on me for Midnight's Edge too. So
yeah, that's right. The Midnight's Edge crew.
Community so much. I'm getting to the point where I'm getting a little meaner to the people who talk crap about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's just because they can only look at it from the outside, and they don't have that kind of personal interaction or those personal experiences. And, there's times when even I think to myself, am I really a part of a toxic group? But then I look at people like Drunk, and I look at people like, I see Mary Mayhem in the chat, Tina, you, Laura, everyone that's in the chat right now. And I think to myself, no, we're not toxic. We're just people. Like, we're people that have all, we have personal issues, and we share those issues, and we talk about it, and we're a community. And then you look to people like Drunk, who's, you know, saving children, like legitimately doing God's work. And it's just like, it's an absolutely amazing thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and that's stuff I don't usually talk about, but they decide to come at me about just being this woman who sits around like, I'm legally disabled and I work inner city outreach. This is stuff I don't talk about much on these streams.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with the abuse and rape victims daily. I deal with having thugs literally threaten me for helping step between them and somebody they're abusing. This is not, I love this community, but you know, there's things I do here that are really important.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. And they'll never know that because they don't care. They would rather try and tear everyone down and just not notice the important things that a lot of people in the community are doing.
I mean, look, I'm gimpy this week. I still spent the whole week trying to raise funds to help Drew out and doing streams to help with that from bed rest. So
yeah, which I know couldn't be easy. Well, thank you.
I'm stubborn and bullheaded.
Hey, as a fellow stubborn bullheaded person, I understand exactly where you're coming from. But thank you for being with us once again. And we'll go ahead and just start off, since I know Laura is the one that has the least amount of time. Laura, I figured that you'd probably want to talk some Mandalorian. Am I right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what are your thoughts on
ahead.
what are your thoughts on episode 4?
Well, you know, it was a standard like Seven Samurai type episode, but you know, still better than anything, you know, that I've seen in the last year or so from Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wish that there was some type of twist in the plot. It was kind of standard, but you know, it's nice that they're explaining things like why he doesn't take off his helmet. And, you know, it seems like whatever group of Mandalorians he's in, it seems like they're a little more hardcore, you know, than some of the Mandalorians we've seen previously. So I don't know if the Empire coming in and purging everybody, I don't know if they decided, you know, we're going to be more strict. Because, you know, Sabine used to take her helmet off all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're showing that they're different groups of Mandalorians. Like, you know, there's Sabine's family who... I guess it wouldn't have worked in an animated series to have everybody sitting around with their helmets on all the time, but I like that they're taking the time to kind of answer our questions here and there.
Yeah, I like that too, and I'm hoping that we get more, you know, questions answered, because I feel like they're answering questions, and then there's also so many questions that are left unanswered, which is what a show needs to have. You know, in order for the season to progress, you need to have these unanswered questions, because that's what keeps us watching, is thinking, oh, are they going to explain who Baby Yoda is, what Baby Yoda is, where he comes from, what's his origin, what's his purpose, right? That's the biggest question that I think has been kind of, you know, pervading the entire discussion, because there's a lot of different opinions on Baby Yoda, as RK Outpost can be quite a testament to.
Yeah, I side with him. Sorry, I think it's a
okay.
creature that's a cross between like Yoda and a gremlin and Nibbler from Futurama, and I don't trust it.
And that means he's still cute.
It does not impress me.
Y'all just falling for that baby Yoda.
I know Tina's on Ryan's side with that too.
Yeah, Baby Yoda's his tongue's gonna come flying out of his mouth and entrap somebody's face, and then he's gonna lay an egg and burst out somebody's chest.
The first time I saw Baby Yoda, the first thing I thought of was an old Simpsons episode where Bart put on the little mouse ears and was going, "I'm the mascot of an evil corporation."
I remember that.
So basically, Tina's version of Baby Yoda is a face hugger from Aliens. Okay.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that the face huggers from Aliens are as adorable as Baby Yoda,
No,
but
that's true. That's true. I don't have much of a comment on it, because remember, I don't have Disney Plus. The Mandalorian kind of came on right before I was getting ready to leave, so I've been trying to catch up on some of the reviews and everything. And you know, I started hearing this last episode was like Seven Samurai kind of starting to get a little bit woke.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
yeah,
That's crazy. It wasn't woke at all. People need to check themselves.
And that's why I love Jeremy's commentary on that, saying it's not woke yet, so let's not go there. Just because there's a strong there's a strong female character doesn't make it woke. You know,
exactly.
like you forgot it's a strong, beefy female character.
Exactly.
Yeah, MMA fighter who they hired for it. I'm sorry, she can be tough, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't know when 5'8", 140 is beefy. I mean, only in Hollywood is 5'8", 140. I know a lot of 5'8" people who'd love to be 140.
I gotta agree with that being a little over that height, but
Yeah, and I think like my biggest critique of it was that they didn't utilize her well. I felt her fight scene like have y'all ever seen the movie Haywire?
I don't recognize the title.
Okay, so Steven Soderbergh, who's done the Ocean's movies, who did Magic Mike, who's done Contagion, he's a legitimate filmmaker. He did a movie called Haywire, and she was in it. She was the starring role in it, and all of her fight scenes were legit fight choreography. And during all the scenes, they didn't have any soundtrack playing. So all you hear are the hits. All you hear are the throws, like hitting the ground. Basically, it's very raw. And it really shows you how great of a fighter she is and how she can really transition from being a legit fighter into an actual like stunt actress.
Right.
And
Right.
I was watching this episode, I thought to myself, man, they need a new stunt choreographer for this because she has so much more potential than that because I've seen it with my own eyes in that movie. And so I'm hoping that when she comes back that they have someone better. Like my biggest critiques of the entire episode were they didn't utilize her enough because she is much more badass than what they portray in the show in real life. And secondly, they totally, I mean, a lot of shows have done this prior, but they totally ripped off Seven Samurai and they didn't change anything. And as you were saying, Laura, I wish there had been some type of twist that would be able to distinguish this episode from things like Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven or Three Amigos, which uses the same plot for the most part.
Exactly. And one thing somebody brought up in the chat, and somebody on Friday Night Tights brought it up too. And I was like, yes, somebody actually caught that. When I started hearing you all talking about the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, I was like, this sounds like Lone Wolf and Cub Baby Card. And somebody brought it up Friday night. I was like, yes, somebody else actually caught Lone Wolf and Cub. Good. Great series too. Great series.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, I mean, Laura, I definitely agree with you though that I think that some of the fandom needs to kind of cool off on the woke talk because there isn't anything that's been woke yet, and especially when we look at what we've gotten so far in mainstream Star Wars, we have not even gotten close to the things that they've been talking about.
Well, as a normal shaped woman, I find it really offensive that somebody who is a normal shaped woman is called, I don't appreciate the beefy term because I mean she's muscular. She's not.
Yeah, beefy.
I mean, we all complained about 105-pound woman beating up a grown man.
Yeah,
but when you have a realistically shaped athletic woman who is gonna go, defend herself hand to hand, the fight looked more realistic because you're like, okay, well, she's solid muscle. I could see her being able to do that.
Yeah. It's like Game of Thrones.
Let's not go there.
Well, I just meant with the character, right? Because when you look to, I'm blanking on the actress's name that played Brienne of Tarth. But she, if she's put in any role, even post that's why Captain Phasma, I was like, no, she can kick somebody's ass because she looks like she can, right? She's muscular and she's like for her, she's very tall. But with Gina Carino, she's very strong. You could just tell that she's very strong. It's not just her muscles, it's also her presence about her too. She looks like a fighter. She looks like a badass. Very different than, as you mentioned, Enfys Nest from frickin' Solo, who is like less than 100 pound, teenager, where you're like, wait a minute. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. This makes sense, right? So I think that anyone that's going after it should kind of, check themselves because this is definitely not an Enfys Nest situation.
I like that the community as a whole, some of the woke arguments that were put out there, how the community as a whole kind of responded back. Like, maybe you're overreacting a bit here.
Yeah.
It was nice to see.
See, the other thing is, as a community, as a whole, we have people who disagree fervently on almost everything the community discusses, and we don't go after each other for it.
Yeah. And I think I'm glad that y'all both mentioned that because, there are so many different opinions on this. And it's just great to be having a discussion about Star Wars again, because it was so one-sided for so long. You know, everything that Disney was doing was bad, and it was very one-sided in the community about what we thought. Now there's finally something that Disney's giving us, and we're thinking to ourselves, no, some of us are starting to really like the direction they're going with. We don't forget, you know, never forget, right? But we, at the same time, look at what we have now and think to ourselves, this is pretty good. This is some pretty solid stuff that we're getting right now.
Well, my problem with a lot of the criticism is that, you know, I think some people push back way too hard. I mean, the woke stuff, you know, was ridiculous, but, you know, it's very important how you fight back. And if you're, you know, if somebody's calling you horrible names, sometimes it's really hard to respond in a, you know, intelligent, calm manner. But, you know, it says a lot about you, about how you fight back against that kind of stuff. And, you know, I've called out people in our own community. It's like, you know, maybe don't tweet at Brie Larson that she has a flat ass. You know, that's not appropriate. You know? It's like when I see individual acts of stuff that I think is kind of out of line, I'll say something. I have no problem with that. But,
and you've always done that, and you've called me out on occasion too, and I've, you know, gone down that path too. And I totally agree with you on that part, right? I'll tweet at someone to be critical of something that they've said, but I'm not gonna go and insult someone physically like what you're talking about with Brie Larson, because I don't like that stuff either. I'm not a big fan of that stuff either.
Reality of issues with the ones with that. You don't go to her and say that kind of stuff to her, whether or not there's an issue. There is a legitimate issue in calling out that she claims to be so for body positivity, and don't you dare shame people, but she has done everything she can her entire career to have plastic surgery and body part doubles. There's a definite hypocrisy there.
I don't know if she has a say over the body part doubles. You know, I think that's more the studio.
Not every role the studio will control that stuff. But I mean, you just look at her then and now. She is so for the whole plastic surgery movement. And that doesn't go with body positivity. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And so I have issues with that, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go over to her page and say, look, you little flat ass bimbo.
Yeah.
Or something. There's a line you don't cross there.
Yeah, it's like, it's one thing if you're saying it in general conversation, because even then I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, that's why I know I've used it on occasion, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but that's why I kind of avoid the Ryan Roundhead discussion, right? Because even though you can look at it and be like, no, it actually does work that way. I've just always have been, you know, kind of like, yeah, but I'd rather go after his words. I'd rather go after his thought, because that to me is more.
He does look like Charlie Brown.
but like, if I say it in conversation, just, you know, offhand, that's one thing. It's another if I'm tweeting at him directly or trying to contact him directly saying, you're a roundhead. It's like, wait, why would I do that? So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, Laura. Yeah, I don't like that aspect to it either. That's why I'm glad it seems most people, from what I've seen, have been pretty, I would say, even-tempered when it comes to The Mandalorian and a lot of the stuff we're getting.
Yeah, definitely. It's the great way to stop people. What I found is like there was a picture of a woman, and she was a little overweight and she had really short hair, and somebody made a comment about that picture, and I said, hey, I look like that. You know, that's me.
Yeah.
And then it's crickets. You know, it's like when you personalize it, it's like, you know, that's what the normal woman looks like. I don't know why you feel the need to comment about that.
Yeah.
And Laura, that's kind of interesting what you're saying, because it's like the body types for women have changed over time in Hollywood. And you had women that were built like Lana Turner and, of course, Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the Twiggy stage started in the 60s, where women were supposed to weigh 70 pounds, all of a sudden it was like, with these beautiful women like Marilyn were now considered overweight. And it's like, in what universe would a woman like Marilyn Monroe be overweight? No, she's built like a woman. She's not overweight.
Like, if you go back and you look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the first season, Sarah Michelle Gellar's body type is completely different. She must have lost like 20 pounds in between the first and the second season. And I don't find women like that attractive. It's very, I want to make them a sandwich. It's like, you're too thin.
And I remember my mom used to say, like when she saw Jane Fonda, like in Barbarella. And she would say she looks so much better in Barbarella, and there was another movie she did with Donald Sutherland, I think in early 70s, than she did when she started doing those workout videos of the 80s. And it was like she was just down to nothing. And my mom would be saying, no, she doesn't even look like a woman anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember watching Thor Ragnarok, and there's a woman in there. She's kind of a badass. She's the one who has the death stick next to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing her and going, that's awesome, because you never see women like that in movies. And she played such a great role. She doesn't even speak, I don't think.
I say she might have a line or two, and also too, it fits the role. Right? She's supposed to be a badass. And so you look at, when you look at a character, you look at a lot of different things. And one of those things includes body type, right? And so you look at yourself, no, this is someone I could believe is a badass leader in this person's army, is a badass security officer. It'd be different if you had someone even someone like me, like where I'm just, flabby. Like, no, it's like, I don't look like someone that's gonna, strike fear in the hearts of a lot of people, right? I'm someone with a bald spot forming on the top of my head and all this. But she's like, no, she's a badass. She looks like a badass, and I think that it's sad that, as you have all been mentioning, it's sad that in current Hollywood, there's still this mindset of only really, 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 really skinny, like almost anorexic skinny is attractive when it's not. Because it's actually, it's not even, it has nothing to do with attraction. It's unhealthy.
If you look through the videos that Gina Carano has done, I mean, she is so complimentary of Bryce Dallas Howard and the whole crew about how, she didn't want to have that shirt with her arms showing. She was like, you've got to give me sleeves down to my elbow because I don't like my arms. And they were insistent. They were like, no, we want you to feel comfortable, showing who you are, and talked her into that particular costume. When she did some press for The Mandalorian, she wears this shawl around the top of her arms. And all she talks about is how comfortable they went out of their way to make her feel, and just being cast with her body type, how uplifting that was.
That's awesome.
So she's a great person. I follow her. I hopefully she'll be at Celebration, because I can't wait to meet her. I think it'd be really cool.
I hope that she's, I'm assuming she's going to be in more episodes, but I kind of just want more of that character. I want to find out more about that character, because all we know is that she was a former shock trooper, I think is how they described it. Someone that was a part of the rebellion. So I'd be interesting to find more about her backstory and to see it. Yeah. So, and speaking about episode 4 again, you mentioned Bryce Dallas Howard. There's some people that have been trying to say that it was a terribly directed episode, but I wouldn't even say that. I would say it was serviceable. As you said, it was kind of by the numbers, and I wouldn't expect anything less from the daughter of Ron Howard. I feel like she's probably picked up a lot of things from her father. And so that does not mean that she's going to be the next Ron Howard or the next major director, but she's at least serviceable. And I think that's, worth at least commending in some form.
Well, 2 things there. She actually admitted on Twitter, she was like, hey, I used nepotism to get this job,
Well, at least
that's
good. That's good. Yeah.
Which was refreshing. But I really like the scene where the Mandalorian is in the barn with the woman and the kids are outside. And you see the camera's focus change like back and forth to where they show the Mandalorian kind of taking off his helmet and eating, and the focus shifts to the kids outside playing in the courtyard.
Yeah,
I really like that. And then of course the ATST, like with the rising up out of the woods with the red eyes. I thought that was great.
Yeah, yeah. I think the cinematography overall has been very strong throughout all of the episodes so far, and I think that if we could say anything about like a major positive that Bryce Dallas Howard brought to the set, it would be the comment you made about Gina Carano, like where she felt so comfortable. And I think that that's something that she probably has learned from doing all of this and is self-aware that it's nepotism that has kind of, gotten her career started. But because of that self-awareness, I feel like she's more willing to try and go out of her way to make people feel as good as they possibly can, which is a good characteristic for any director to have. There's a lot of other things a good director needs, and I think those are things that she can either work on or might not ever get, depending on how serious she decides to take being a director. But it's a good quality to have when your actors are saying this person was a genuinely nice person that actually cared about what we had to do and say.
Well, I guess Bryce was changed her makeup completely. They got her on the set, and she kind of was like, "Oh no, come here," and took her into the makeup crew and completely changed the way they had her makeup done.
Yeah.
So
And that's
it's
something that a woman would know that a man wouldn't, right? Because I don't know anything about makeup.
exactly.
I don't know anything about makeup. I mean,
I would really love to learn more and have a better understanding about like in a shot. It's like what is the cinematography
mhm.
person doing? What is the director doing? Of course, a lot of the stuff is storyboarded out, so I don't know as far as like choice of shots. I don't know if the director has too much freedom. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it's just directing the actors at this point. I don't.
It
I'd like to have a better
depends.
understanding.
Yeah, it depends
Yeah.
on the. It really depends on the director because what you really see happen, I've not that I've worked on any major productions, but I have worked independent films before. And what normally happens is that the director of photography and the director are usually in very close conjunction with each other. They talk to each other. The director says, "Here's my vision," and the DP says, "Okay, here's what I have in mind." And then they go back and forth. They bounce off each other. So the frames, the shots are framed by the DP, by the director of photography, but the ideas are normally geared towards or brought about by the director themselves. Now, there are different types of directors, though, right? You have Zack Snyder, who's the visual director. He does not really focus on actors. He cares about the big picture. Now, some people like that. Some people don't. You also have people like Woody Allen, who is an actor's director. He focuses on the actor specifically, which is why he's, I think, had the most actors win Oscars, or at least get nominations for Oscars from all of his movies, because he's so good at bringing the best out of an actor. So, it's hard to tell with people like that are unknown, like Bryce Dallas Howard, what kind of director she is. But in general, they control what is being seen on the screen. They work with the DP hand in hand. And it's a lot harder to tell on a TV series, though, because as you said, a lot of these things are storyboarded. There's a general executive producer, Jon Favreau, who's going to have a lot of say in the final product. But my guess is that they're letting these directors have control over the scenes that they're given, which would include the framing of the shots themselves. So,
Interesting information. Yeah, it sounds like she's an actor's director then,
yeah.
based on what I've heard.
Oh, yeah. Based on what you just told me, it sounds more like she is all about trying to make the actors feel the best they can to give the best performance that they can. Because I thought the performances were fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with any of the performances in this episode. It was mostly just the by the numbers, because Jon Favreau wrote the episode, and that means that his writing was also by the numbers as well. So that doesn't make it bad. It just doesn't, especially after episode 3, which left all of us in a state of, oh, this is the Star Wars I've been wanting for so long. I think that, it's kind of the wake-up call saying, okay, it is still going to have its ups and downs, peaks and valleys.
Yeah. I mean,
True.
Yeah.
We're going through these cultural shifts, entertainment shifts, all this stuff. And some of it's good and a lot of it's not. And you guys are less cynical than I am, but we get along fine.
Nobody's ever called me not cynical, so that's a first.
You're less cynical than me. That's not cynical. I'm just really cynical about it.
Hey, I'm the one that called
And I
Baby
was
Yoda a
back
space
at
face
that
hugger.
You did. That's right. You did, Tina. Wait, sorry, Rosetta, what was that?
I said I was back in chat, down with the mouse.
Down with the mouse. Yeah, and I mean, you all know I feel that same way, right? I am definitely still very critical of Disney. I was not a fan of Frozen 2. I just saw that recently. I was not a fan of that, but I can still separate the art from the artist. From the, I can separate the art from the giant evil corporation. And so I can look at this and say, no, Jon Favreau is doing very good work. I'm hoping and praying the studio does not get involved, because if they do, that could obviously have a very, very negative impact, because anytime Disney gets involved, especially the higher ups, things tend to go south pretty quickly. So we're praying that doesn't happen. I think Jon Favreau is big enough to get his own autonomy and not have someone over his shoulder telling him what he has to do, which is a good thing. Not to mention, I'm still holding out that thought that maybe when Kathleen Kennedy steps down at some point in the next couple years, that Jon Favreau might be a person to take over.
Yeah, that would actually be a good.
Which I would be actually very excited for, especially if him and Dave Filoni are tag teaming these series, because Dave Filoni is as far as a story goes, he has, to me, the same capacity for a story, maybe not to the same level, but to me, he's like a George Lucas as far as his eye on the story. And that's why I can't wait, because I think the next episode of Mandalorian is going to be directed and written by Dave Filoni. So I'm very excited to see.
Oh, really?
So I'm very excited to see what he does. It'll be the first episode not written by Jon Favreau. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and then Deborah Cho has the same person that did episode 3 gets one more episode directing, and I want to say it's the second to last episode. And then the last episode's directed by Taika Waititi. So we'll see what kind of quirky humor is brought in, because Taika has a very specific type of direction, which I like for the most part. I've not liked his comments recently since Thor, Love and Thunder or Love and Plunder or whatever it's called was announced. I haven't liked that so far.
Thunder thighs.
Love and Thunder thighs, exactly right.
How did his JoJo movie do?
It's an independent film. I would argue it's doing well for an independent film. I'm trying to see.
Okay.
It was 15th at the box office, but it's made $23.4 million on a budget of probably like $5 to $10 million, I imagine. So it's doing well enough. I mean, it's doing as well as they expected it to do for an independent film.
Okay. I mean, they were advertising the hell out of it before I went on vacation. And I was like, well, that's going to add to it. But I imagine a lot of people had no clue to what that even was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to see it because I do like his work for the most part. I like What We Do in the Shadows. Thor Ragnarok is still one of my favorite Marvel films. And that hasn't gone away since it's, there's some people where their likes will change when stuff comes out about someone. I'm not that type of personality. If I like something beforehand, I'm going to like it. Even if what I find out about that person changes or alters in some way. Because also, Taika has not shown himself to be like a Rian Johnson up to this point. So,
right.
I've heard good things about Jojo Rabbit, the people I know who have seen it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I have too. I've heard a lot of really good things about it. Because again, he can direct.
I hear it's hilarious though. Which is, given the subject matter, is kind of weird, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So, Laura, we got about, I think, 13 minutes until your game. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss? Have you seen maybe Frozen 2? Have you seen Knives Out? Or anything else that you might want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. I did see Knives Out.
Okay.
I think we talked about that last time. It was, it wasn't like perfect but it was very entertaining. It'll probably do okay.
It is. It's made this weekend $27 million. So,
you don't really have a lot of whodunits out there anymore. So
yeah.
It's good classic theater. Just Daniel Craig just stole the show with that accent. Oh my God.
Does he do the accent well, or is it like purposefully bad?
I'm very particular about Southern accents because most people don't do a good job. But
that's a fact.
Oh my God, Chris Evans needs to do more movies where he plays a jerk because it was wonderful to see.
Yeah, he's good at playing himself.
Ooh,
shots fired! Shots fired!
No. Talk to Orange Hat about this. Chris Evans is actually the one that got his old accounts in trouble on Twitter.
Oh, Captain America.
Oh, no. Naughty.
Oh, and then because of Tina, I did watch some Kurosawa movies. Rashomon, is that how you say it?
Rashomon, yes. Yes.
So good. So it's a story about this guy ends up, it's, obviously set in Japan. Guy ends up dead in the forest, right? And there are like 4 different witnesses who were there, who saw what was going on, and you get the story from each person's perspective. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing camera work. It's there's a scene where you follow the guy as he goes into the forest, and the camera kind of slides along with him, so you see like just trees in between the camera and the person as they're walking, so you really get a sense of how far into the forest they're going. But just an amazing movie. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. So
I'm glad you did. When most people talk about Kurosawa, they'll say, Seven Samurai is my favorite movie. Rashomon is my favorite of all of his movies.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The first time I first saw that movie when I was about 13, 14 years old, and it just did something to me. And even though I admire his other work, I always go back to Rashomon. So, Laura, I am so glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, it was beautiful. The scene where the psychic is doing her thing, and I don't want to spoil it anymore. I was just entranced. I was like, what a beautiful scene.
Yes, yes. There's a YouTuber. Oh shoot, I can't remember his name right now. That he does really good analysis of like Kubrick movies and Kurosawa movies, and even talks about how the cameras are set up so that you are watching how the wind is kicking through leaves of grass and everything. So when you said that, I was like, I've got to remember that guy's channel.
Oh yeah, the camera work was, I mean, for the 1950s, it was amazing. I mean, how big must a camera have been to get it through the forest like that?
Yes.
Gigantic.
It was almost like a steady cam because it kind of slid along with him. You know, it wasn't like a shot of him like walking away from the camera or towards the camera. Some of the camera work was just like, I don't know how they would have done it back then.
And that would be impressive too, because it would have been actual film stock. And that means that it would not just be what they had in the camera, but probably a lot of other rolls. I imagine it took a long time to, I've never seen it myself, but based on what you're describing, I imagine it took a long time to get those sequences shot.
Yes.
Especially when you're in a forest, there's a lighting issue normally with that.
Oh, yeah, he did a lot with light, really, really bright white light in some scenes.
Okay.
So it's like you knew something significant was going on there. Yeah, I recommend because I haven't seen any of his work, so now I've got a whole library of stuff I get to dig through.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, because as far as light goes, if anyone wants kind of like a modern day version of how lighting can play a part, has anyone seen The Revenant?
I haven't seen that yet, no.
So The Revenant is one of these amazing films because it uses only natural light. So there are no lights that were on set. It was all natural lighting, and that's why it's so beautifully shot. I mean, it's some of the best cinematography that you've ever seen because you look at them at a campfire, and the only thing lighting their face is a campfire. Like there are no other lights being used in the entire process of the filmmaking, and that's what a lot of these films would have been like earlier on before you had all these major camera crews, etc. A lot of it would be reliant on natural lighting. And it's amazing just what you're able to do with that, because nowadays you think, oh, everything has to be lit. Everything has to be all like, crazy sets. You think about the breakdown, the breakdown on the set of Terminator Salvation, where you have Christian Bale freaking out because one of the lighting guys got in the way of the shot. That's what you think about, right? You think about all this craziness going on. Yes. But during
I don't know, when you said everything has to be lit, all I thought is most of the actors already are.
That's true too. Especially if the weather is a certain way. I mean, for all I know, it could have been freezing when they were filming that.
Oh, that's not the lit I was referring to.
Oh no, that's why I mentioned that, because it warms the belly or something like that. I know nothing of these things.
Ask her.
Yeah, no, Tina, a resident drunkard.
Yeah, Tina would not have a problem staying warm because she would have a nice little glass of something to be like, yes. Do that shot again. I'm fine. Yes.
I'm fine. Yes.
Actually, while it warms your body, it actually slows down the blood flow, which actually makes your body get colder faster. However, it makes you numb to it, so you're not as aware.
I gotcha.
Because side note, and you kind of saw the character in James Cameron's Titanic, but the cook who was in the white uniform, that was based on a real character. And when he knew the ship was sinking, he actually liquored up because he was like, I'm not going to make it. And the liquor did keep him warm until they were able to pick him up, and he did survive. And I always just thought, okay, well, maybe liquor will keep you warm. I don't know.
You know what? I want to win a contest for Tina to be on the set of the next Jason Momoa film, and so that she gets to sit behind the camera with a glass of wine, just be like, do that scene again, please.
Do that again, James.
Thank you.
Move a little slower and let me see it a little closer, and let's do it again.
And then it'd be like, I think this scene would do better. Like, let her direct one scene. I think this scene would be better without a shirt. Can we try that for a second, Jason? Mr. Momoa, thank you.
Let's be honest, that's what most women would do if they had that chance. And that's because, despite contrary popular Hollywood opinion, we both genders objectify each other because we're genetically wired to want to reproduce.
Well, also we have desires in general, right? We have these innate desires within us, and it's like every person's gonna be desiring someone. Like it's just it's a natural process.
Glenn says, "Take my shirt off. We aren't filming."
Oh, Tina.
I love you, Tina. I saw an opportunity and I was like, I gotta run with this.
I love you too. I'm gonna be sure to tell Stephanie that.
Yes. Send her this part of the stream. Let's see, we're about 52 minutes in. So send her this part of it, and then she'll be like, "Oh boy," because if there's a +1, she'll be right next to you.
Yes, she can be my assistant director.
Exactly.
I know I could have been this little, girl fest.
He's going to be like, why are there so many people on the set today?
Surrounded by about 10,000 women chanting, "Take your clothes off."
Oh, God.
I bet he's like, that's a standard day for me.
Yes.
Garoppolo.
That's
name.
There we go. Yeah,
He just ran across the screen. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, someone had mentioned it earlier, and they had said it as like Janine Garoppolo, and I was like, oh, Janine. Yeah, sure. Janine Garofalo is her name, but
yeah, hi to you too, Gentry. You don't fool me. I saw your night side when you stayed up with me a few nights ago when I wasn't feeling well.
Who is that, Will?
Gentry.
Yeah.
He stayed in my chat for like 5 hours when my back was locked and I couldn't get to bed.
Yeah, Will talks a tough game, but he's a softie.
He was a nice person, Will.
Yeah, Will, we're gonna compliment you now. You're a nice person. How does that make you feel?
It probably makes him more uncomfortable than when I'm insulting him.
So I'm looking at the clock. Laura, anything you want to say before you have to head out?
I do have some thoughts in the EU, but I might save that until we have more time because I'm going to piss a lot of people off.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
boy.
just real quickly, the EU never was canon. It never was intended to be canon. So, just saying.
Don't tell RK Outpost.
Yeah, I know. I'll tweet it at him.
Yeah, tweet at him and Lethal Lightning and see what they have to say.
I love me some Lethal Lightning, though.
Oh, yeah.
Torturing Ryan and Lethal. Those are my boys.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, we're going there.
Oh, no.
I didn't say you can't point it out. I said don't torture them while you do it.
Yeah. I want to see them do a co-op stream together, both in their robes.
Facts don't care about your feelings. As Gentry denies being nice, the stream is still up. People can find it.
There we go. You've been
Don't
exposed.
make me Shapiro, you guys. So. I'll whip out my full Shapiro.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a family show.
I know. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. But yeah,
thanks for letting me go on and on.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you're able to join us this week. And I hope that your 49ers do well. Who are they playing against this week?
The Ravens. I know that.
I know that much.
I love Dan's comment. Holy crap! My feelings don't care about your peer-reviewed facts.
So, any shouts you want to make before you go, or any last second comments?
Darth Barbie has been killing it lately. She had her first live stream last night, which was interesting. Tons of people on there helping her out. I think she does really good with like recorded videos, but she seems to kind of like freeze up sometimes when she gets live. Yeah. So everybody, leave some encouraging thoughts on her first live stream video, and tweet at her, let her know welcome to the community. And I can't imagine it must be difficult when you're on camera.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is easy because I just talk into the microphone, but like being on camera live, it must be pretty intimidating.
It is at first. I think she'll get used to it over time, because when you first start trying it, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And you're looking at yourself, because like right now my image is up in 2 locations. And so when you first start off, you're obsessed with every single thing you do, every single like even small gesture you make. You're like, oh gosh, did I just do that? What I just say? You're not even thinking. It just doesn't come naturally. But she'll pick it up pretty quickly, and I recommend her videos too. She is hilarious Like,
She
I
is.
love the way she edits her Also, her drop. Her iconic drop gets me every time. So basically, she's standing, and she'll just, like, ragdoll onto the floor. And it's just hilarious every single time she does it. I love it.
Yeah, she talks to her little BB-8, and
That's right.
it squawks back out.
That's right. And the little subtext underneath it, you're just like, oh, this is fantastic.
Oh, she's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's nice to have all these new voices coming in,
Yes.
Great.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for having me, Tina. Thanks for the recommendation of the movies, and I hope, Rosetta, I hope you feel better. I'm sorry about all that.
Mm-hmm. Take care, hon.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, we'll have another one. It'll definitely not be the weekend of Christmas or New Year's. So probably in like 2 weeks
Awesome.
we'll have another
Awesome.
we'll have our December stream. So thank you again for being here and for being a part of the channel, and I hope that your 49ers are going to do okay.
Go Niners.
I hope no injuries. No injuries.
Yes. That's very important.
Odin,
Bye. Have a good one, Laura.
Bye.
On regard to that stream, Odin.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to work. Let me know what you schedule, because I'm still trying to figure out how to do a birthday stream since I won't be around the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. I think I mentioned my schedule that was it Wednesday? Was it Monday and Wednesday after? Like evenings are the best for me.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of people telling me I need to do one of my marathons for the birthday, and it's like, well, I'm not pretty much available after about the 17th or so until mid-January. So, and I don't want to be around people in that time, honestly, usually either. So,
yeah,
I'll have to do it early because my birthday is between everything, and yeah,
absolutely. I need to jump into the chat real quick. Dan Montgomery says, but at some point you realize your beard looks awesome and you just go with it. Yeah, so Dan Montgomery's having a lot of comments about the beard and about advice for growing a beard. All I can say is all I did was grow it. I just let it grow. And that's really what you have to do is you just let it grow, you grow, and you'll be able to tell, because unless you let it grow for a long time, you won't know what your face does. And you need to find out what your face does first, because your face might not do this. Not everyone's face is going to do this, but maybe yours grows the stash and maybe, the goatee. Maybe you can rock a goatee, but you have to let it grow for a long time, and then you're able to shape it and figure out what's going on. I am lazy, so I have not trimmed mine. So I have a full beard no matter what, but it's usually a little bit cleaner than what it is now. And I think sometime today or probably tomorrow at this point, because I have off school tomorrow, thanks to the bishop for giving us a day off. I will probably have to try and get a haircut then and get the beard trimmed a little bit.
You don't have an excuse. You should stop by my stream tomorrow.
What time's your stream?
I usually start in the afternoon and just stream doing art projects for hours.
Okay, well, just send a link my way, because I usually try and see movies on my day off because I need to catch up with stuff, but I should be available.
And as I said in chat, for more on Odin's beard, watch the Rookie Quest trilogy.
And let's see, we also got...
that about your beard was awesome.
But yeah, just grow it out, man, and see what happens. And then Troy James says, Odin, you got to see The Irishman, best movie. I know it's on Netflix now. That's also on my list of things to do this weekend, including tomorrow, because it's 3 hours. So I want to be able to dedicate the full 3 hours to watching it. But I'm very excited because I love Martin Scorsese. He's one of my all-time favorite directors, and I've heard a lot of really great things about it. The de-aging process I've heard is a little rough, but at certain points, but I've heard the rest of the film is pretty fantastic. And to answer your question, Bruce, yes, we were talking about Darth Barbie, who is an amazing, amazing person. So, beard trimming is illegal? No, it's got to happen. Sorry, Alex, it's got to happen.
No, the Irishman is that.
Wait, what was that, Rosetta?
Darth is an absolute sweetheart. She's one of those, she's nice to everyone on every post. She really tries to talk to you. She's a sweet person.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, she's also a badass at Smash Brothers on Switch. Like, she was whooping Mark the Cyborg, apparently, on Switch, and I think they're having a stream sometime today, if they're not already having it already, where it's going to be a Geeks and Gamers stream on Mark the Cyborg's channel, and it's going to be a Smash tournament. And from what I'm hearing, she's been talking so basically she's been trash talking RK Outpost, because there's a lot of tension there for those that don't know, because like Darth Barbie, we both love Baby Yoda. RK Outpost does not. And so there's already this like immense tension between the two. And now apparently there's some trash talking going on, and it's fantastic.
By the way, when I signed up to join with Ryan's Patreon, I actually had one of her followers posting to me that you were supposed to help cancel him, not join him, with a little sign of being spanked with the word traitor.
Oh, no. Also, happy birthday to Open-Minded Movie Man. Shout out to you, good sir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, happy birthday.
Really nice people in this community.
Good. Well, happy birthday, good sir.
I tried actually to do a Thanksgiving thank you to the fandom community here for everybody that's been helpful to me at some point since I met you guys, and I failed horribly about 30 times because either I missed people or I started getting mushy.
And then you're like, the guy, nope, getting mushy. Nope, turn it off.
I am not a delicate or sweet or emotional woman. I don't like that I've been emotional this week. Not me. Just saying.
Yes, indeed. So Tina.
Sir.
What have you been, other than detoxing?
Yeah.
What has been on your agenda recently?
I don't know, because I mean, since I got home, I'm kind of starting to get back into the swing of things until I take my next cruise in February. Yes, I'm going on my birthday cruise in February. Brand new ship out of Miami.
Nice.
But I looked at this terrible Betty Davis movie last night. I kept saying, God, her wig is really bothering me. It was called Beyond the Forest. Joseph Cotton was in it. They had absolutely no chemistry, which is probably why they did that. And it was kind of a version of Madame Bovary. But when I went to research it, Betty Davis said she walked off the set several times because she wanted them to fire her. But it was like her last contracted movie with Warner Brothers. But oh my gosh, it was terrible. It really was. So I saw that. Pluto TV has started a 24/7 Naruto channel, and so I've been catching up with those episodes again and watching some of my favorites. And I haven't seen very many movies. The movie channel that they had on the cruise was horrible.
Oh no.
And I wasn't in my cabin a lot, but like at night you're winding down and you're like, oh, let me see what's on. And I turned it on one night and I said, wait a minute. Is that Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson? Oh my God, they're showing Captain Marvel. Why are they doing this?
At least it wasn't Unicorn Store.
That is true.
I'm sorry?
At least it wasn't Unicorn Store, she said. And I will say this much. As bad as Captain Marvel is, Unicorn Store is much worse.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Clips of that movie and her mocking Brie Larson's rants.
Oh my gosh. Well, I switched it. I ended up watching something on the Kitty channel because I was like, yeah, this is a whole lot better and I need to go to bed anyway. But no, I'm slowly catching up. So it's a good thing I had beer. That's true. Yeah, I'm just slowly starting to get back into things. I had social media, a social media package on the cruise. So I kept getting YouTube notifications, but I wasn't set up to watch any videos. So that was kind of my way of keeping up with what was going on YouTube, was seeing the titles of people's videos. And I did see a few of yours, Odin. I mean, as far as, the titles.
Okay.
But no, I'm just slowly kind of getting back into, I'm back to reality again. And today is the 4th anniversary of my retirement.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. And I kind of, when it hit me, I was like, wow, it's been a really good 4 years. And I still miss a lot of what I did, but then again, I don't. And so I'm in that new phase of my life and I'm enjoying it. So, yeah.
Well, that's
I'm glad
awesome.
you're explaining what you're doing with your life here. I mean, you are part of the sweethearts in this community. even if you were going a bit glug, glug, glug the last few.
I do not apologize for that.
I remember coming into this community, and I am as gawky and awkward and low self-esteem as you could get in a lot of ways. And I seriously can remember almost nobody being anything but really warm and open to me. And you and Stephanie and Odin were three of the ones who really helped me get to know the community because of how warm you were to me. So
glad to hear it.
Yeah, and hopefully the stream has helped at least distract away from the pain that you've been going through recently.
Yes.
So have muscle relaxers, and considering you know how my feeling is about having my head loopy, it should tell you something. I've been on them all week.
Oh Lord, yeah.
Oh. Well, the only other thing that has come up in as I detox for the last few days is, hearing about everything about, episode 9 and how well it's going to do. And everybody knows it's going to make money. And, but how much money? In my warped brain, Charlie's Angels numbers would be lovely, but I know that's not going to happen. I'm sorry?
My work brain is all discs fail to play and they have to refund everyone and make nothing.
It would be lovely. That's my fantasy. But I want you all to, Odin, forgive me for kind of going this route for a few minutes, and I promise
right ahead.
I'm not swearing or anything, but
at first I was like, "Are you about to drop an F-bomb or something?"
I'm not going to do that. This is just a line of thinking that you start doing when you're detoxing and you're thinking about the current state of Star Wars as far as the movies. I'm not going to get into The Mandalorian, but how many of you all know? I know most of you Southerners probably do. How many of you know what chitlins are?
Chitlins.
Kind of been a while since I heard of that stuff.
It's more of a Southern dish, and it's more considered a soul dish.
Yeah, and I'm on the board of a black church. I've heard of it. It's just been a while.
Yeah, and a lot of whites have also adopted it, but it is. And Happy Dinosaur said yes, they know what they are, and Bruce said he knows.
Is it also known as chitterlings?
Chitterlings, yes.
Okay.
Back in the slave days, when the slaves would cut up the meat, and of course the people in the big house would get the good portions, the slaves were left with like the intestines, the stomach, the feet. The chitterlings or chitlins are the intestines. The hog maws are the stomach. Well, those soul food kind of developed from that because the slaves learned how to properly cook them. Okay, well, I know everybody's thinking about how the hell does that tie into Star Wars? Well, when it comes to chitlins, you have to know how to properly clean them. I don't eat them anymore, but I know that they are a cuisine in Southern cooking. I used to help my mother and my grandmother and my great aunts clean them, and you had to clean them because they have a lining to them and they have the fat to them, and you have to yank all that off, and then you rinse those chitlins until the water is clean. Star Wars is kind of in the same condition. So right now I'm calling it Star Wars Episode 9, Unclean Chitlins, because George Lucas took a product and he knew how to clean the chitlins, and he cleaned those chitlins properly. Then he handed it over to a bunch of morons who have no idea how they are supposed to be prepared. George says, no, you take a 20-pound tub of chitlins and you clean the fat and everything off of. You should only have about 5 pounds left. Kathleen Kennedy's going, oh, no, that's just a waste of time. We're just going to dump all of them into the pot and cook them. And if you complain about those chitlins, we're going to call you a bunch of racists. Just put some hot sauce on it and eat it. And JJ's going, yes, that's right, because as Kathleen said, George didn't give us a recipe for these. We have no source material for where these chitlins came from. So when all of you go to see Episode 9, if you're going to suffer from it, I want you to keep chitlins on your brain.
Because
because
unclean chitlins might as well be covered in crap.
Thank you. Thank you. So, like I said, that's what happens when you're detoxing. You start thinking about chitlins in episode 9. And no, for real, this is the time of year with the holidays.
Mhm.
I was in the store and I saw a package that said cleaned chitlins.
Mhm.
And I said, my mother still would have cleaned them, even
yeah.
though they're saying that they're clean. But that's what kind of got me thinking about that. I was like, Star Wars is kind of the same.
Mhm.
You had a good product, and I know a lot of people are not gonna. Yeah, Glenser is right. They're feeding us raw chitlins.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep. That's
but
exactly.
no, it's just the idea. It's just the idea of you're given a product, you're given the recipe, the source material, and then Kathleen Kennedy's going to turn around and say, "We had no source material." I mean, who does she think we're that stupid?
I
So
guess she
yeah,
does. I guess she does. I mean,
I
she
bet she
also,
does.
she, as you mentioned, she said, she didn't even just say that she didn't have the recipe. She basically said there was no recipe. She said that there was no source material. There was nothing for us to use. There's no recipe out there for this. It's going to be covered in crap no matter what we do. And all of us are thinking to themselves, like, there's been recipes for hundreds of years. using the chitlins reference, right? Like there's been a recipe for a very, very long time. You just chose to ignore it.
You chose to ignore it, and then she's going to tell that lie, even though her Lord and Master Bob Iger says, "Yeah, we George gave us this stuff, but we didn't guarantee we were going to use it." You know, it was whatever. Kathleen, go back to making coffee. I'm sure her coffee sucked. I know it did.
I don't know. Part of me thinks that it must have been pretty good because she was brought around all the time.
I don't think coffee is how she got her work.
I say maybe she was. Maybe she was great at coffee, and that's all that she's good at. Is making coffee.
That's not what I was getting at. I don't know coffee is how she got her job.
Exactly. No, that thought has crossed my mind so many times, and I just don't even want to go there because there's too many names involved, and then I have images in my head, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So
I'm sorry, I have a very bad, twisted mind, and I'm going to relax.
I understand. I understand completely.
If it makes you feel any better, Odin, I'm kind of being adopted into the villains of the fandom.
Oh.
Freaking one of my wrenches has got everyone now calling me Darth Jiggles.
Oh no.
He's even got Milestone calling me it.
Oh my goodness.
She had me on a couple weeks ago with her though.
Oh, nice.
Well, it was supposed to be a few minute wind down after she did the Nerd Wars. And it turned into almost 3 hours of me and her going off the rails, joking around, laughing, and giving some very inappropriate jokes and comments to chat.
Yeah, but speaking of episode 9, I actually will be going to see it because very, very kind of him, John Flickinger, who I've done some work with previously, he actually got me a ticket. We're going to go see it together down in Huntsville where he is. And so I'm excited to see it with him. Not excited to see the movie, but excited to see it with him because, if I'm Phantom Menace and if he's like an average, more of the average moviegoer personality, I think it's going to be interesting to see if he hates it because he also hated The Last Jedi. He also called that movie out for the crap that it was. And a lot of us have, right? Even Jeremy Johns has been very, very critical of it. And all of us in the Phantom Menace have been. But with him, I feel like if he has the same thoughts I do about the film, that will speak volumes. Right. Because we know the Phantom Menaces are going to be predisposed to not like it because we're going to be able to see through a lot of the crap and know what went into it and the things that have been missed and the things that have been mishandled. But for him, it's going to be, I'm looking at it just as a movie. He's not a part of the Phantom Menace. And so it'll be cool to have that perspective because he does not have high hopes for it because The Last Jedi sucked. But it's going to be cool to have that perspective with him. And so once again, shout out to you, John Flickinger, for getting me a ticket to go see that in IMAX because
absolutely,
I know that I wouldn't have paid to see it myself. So
that's well, I mean, I'm looking more forward to the opinions about it and the reviews of it. I only know one person so far. I mean, outside of like people in the Fandom Menace that have to do it for their channel channels. I only know one person who has told me they're going to see it, but
Mhm.
they also bought tickets for Dark Fate and Charlie's Angels. And that's the guy who shampoos my hair that I now call Disney Princess. But because the last time he did the shampoo and he was asking me, oh, what movies have I seen? And I said, I really haven't seen any. And the ones I have are like what you would call ancient. And he was like, well, I already have my tickets for Charlie's Angels and Terminator Dark Fate. And I have my ticket for The Rise of Skywalker because I have to find out how that ends. But I just love supporting strong women. And I'm just saying, just get my hair shampoo, get my color rinsed out of my hair. Just,
See, that's when I would have just gone back doing the same Valley Girl voice that he seemed to be doing and be like, oh my God, yes, I cannot wait to find out what happens to BB-8 because BB-8. Oh my God. Like just the Valley, just the typical Valley Girl.
The best Valley Girl I've ever heard a guy do is the one that Gabriel Iglesias Fluffy does.
Oh, I've never been a fan of Gabriel Iglesias. It's just not my cup of tea.
He may not be, but he does those Valley Girl voices incredibly well.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of Friday Night Tights is whenever I do the Valley Girl to Gary, and then he gives it back to me. I love that back and forth. It's just so much fun. It's just a great voice to do. But a couple chats. Dan Montgomery says, are you going to take a hip flask? I don't drink, so I will not. John might. I might have to recommend that to him. Someone said Phantom Menace adjacent Odin, says Soul Assassin.
I was going to comment on what Hunky said because he tortures Orange Hat on my streams.
Oh, no. Bruce says, glad you are seeing it for me. Do let us know what you think. Oh, definitely. I'll be vlogging the experience going up, giving my instant thoughts after. So you'll be able to see me twice because what we normally, like what we've done in the past is that when we see the film right after, he films for his channel. I didn't bring my camera the one time that I've gone up with him so far, but I'm imagining that I'll definitely be bringing up my camera too. So we'll probably be in each other's videos for our reviews of that film. So look forward to that. December 19th, I believe, is the Thursday night opening. And so that's when we are going to see it. We're going to be braving the storm of that.
I'm going to spend December 20th. I'm in with Doomcock. I'm going to marathon the original 6 movies on December 20th.
Oh,
and
nice.
Out.
Nice.
Very cool. Now, which versions of the originals are you watching?
I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, because
I've got a bunch of it. You know, I can live with the special editions. I still prefer the old ones, but they're harder to get more often. So it's complicated.
Yeah. That's why I love that I found. So I think it's Trey Chester. Have y'all seen his name in the Friday Night Tights and other channels?
What's his name again?
Trey Chester.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is the one that got me onto. It's called 4K 87 or something like it. Basically, someone they are a group that somehow got their hands on the original 35 or 70 millimeter prints of Star Wars of the trilogy. And so they, as an independent group, have been working on their own 2K and 4K transfers of the movie. And so I think they have the 4K done of the original Star Wars film. Someone in the chat might know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, so he got me onto those because there's ways you can download it. Of course, with the way it works, because obviously there's this whole, copyright concern, is that you have to, it's like a forum, you have to sign up and get approved. And then when you do, you have to promise that you already own the movies in some capacity, because that way you own it, you're just getting a different version of the same thing. So that's like the next thing I'm looking into is the 2K and 4K versions of that, because I don't think my player can burn 4K discs, but I know that I can burn, 2K discs. But the one I have is called the Harmies Despecialized Edition, which I don't know which one's cooler. I think it's cool the fact that they have these original prints of the film and are transferring them. Like, that's awesome.
Right.
But my versions were ones that the people behind the project, behind Harmies, they went to every edition of the film, including that DVD that was released when they decided, George Lucas, the last time the original trilogy in its actual original form was released was on a DVD special edition, and they only released it in this weird boxed format. So it wasn't even a full picture. It was like a box format, terrible quality. So they took editions from countless countries, and then they literally pieced it together into what the original scenes would have been like, color graded it.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, painstaking, like over a year, I think, of work with multiple people, volunteering time, which is amazing. And there's a whole documentary on YouTube about the Harmy's Despecialized Edition and all the versions they used and the side-by-side comparisons. And that's the version I have, and I love it because it is as close to the original trilogy as you can up until this 4K release that's now being worked on. So
right. And that almost sounds like the kind of work like when they discover what has always been considered a lost silent movie. And maybe they'll find a copy. I know it happened with Metropolis, where I think they found what would be as close to the original cut, found it in Brazil.
Wow.
And had to restore it and then use the title cards that they had from other editions and put it together. And I mean, it's a true masterpiece. But that is exactly what this sounds like. But you're talking about a movie that's 40 some years old as compared to when it came out 100 years ago.
Yeah.
That's just, Sharon and we're still trying to wrap our brains around why George Lucas was doing what he was doing. And I mean, I've heard rumors from it was a way of getting back at his wife who won the Oscar. She and her team won the Oscar for best editing on Star Wars. Was it hubris? What the hell was he doing? Because I quit buying Star Wars editions. It was like, oh, we've added new sound. George, why are you adding new sound? There was nothing wrong with the sound you had in the original version. Somebody can tell me, why he did that. I'm serious.
Yeah.
If somebody can tell me what was in his mind was he trying to improve on it? Because I've talked to people that said, yeah, we bought those versions. It didn't improve anything. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that did either of you see the recent documentary that came? Well, I think it's been out for about a year or two, but they had a theatrical release in a lot of IMAX screens of the Apollo 11 mission.
I heard about that, and I haven't had a chance to see it.
It's phenomenal, and what's the coolest about it is that all the footage looks like some of the highest quality stuff you've ever seen in your life, and the reason why is because all of that footage from inside, headquarters to what was shot on the actual ship itself and all the angles in between were all shot on film. Were all shot on the 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
And so what they've done is they have had digital scans of those 35 millimeter prints. And now it's like they've upgraded it to like 2K, 4K resolution. So I'm looking at, I saw it with my wife and her grandmom, and we were just blown away because we're looking at these images and we're like, this looks like it was just filmed today. But because it's from, the 60s, but because it was shot on that, 35 millimeter print, they were able to get this amazing visual quality out of it. And you're like, this looks like a cinematic movie, like the way they were able to handle it. But that just goes to show you why older films just always look better on these new upgraded 2K, 4K resolutions, because it's just, there's so much data that a print can hold that digital can't. Digital is compressed. When you film something, you're only going to be able to ever get so much quality compared to what the original films were able to get. So it's really is amazing all the work they're doing. That's why I can't wait for some of these more classic films to be released on 4K, like Casablanca. I think that one's coming out soon or has already come out on a 4K transfer. And all of these classics are starting to get these new editions, and they're the highest quality that they've ever been. And it's amazing. It really is. It's phenomenal. And like you were saying about how they found that copy in Brazil, someone was saying in the chat that there is a similar case with the Evil Dead movies, that apparently it's hard to find the original prints of those. But it really is just truly amazing that is the case.
That's incredible. And I thought about you yesterday because I spent a lot of my Saturday, I was watching anything that had nothing to do with Star Wars. I was watching, it was on YouTube, but it was like channels where they will take a movie and break it down and discuss how historically accurate it is. And if they mess up, is it forgivable? Lawrence of Arabia is one case. It's like, okay, well, they may have switched a few things around, but you can forgive it because it's a great movie. But I thought about you because they were discussing Tora and doing some comparisons to the current Midway and also the Midway that came out in the 70s with Henry Fonda and Charlton Heston. And I love Tora. Yes, History Bus. Thanks, Soul Assassin. That was one of the channels I was looking at. But they were talking about Tora and how they did so many practical effects. And that in one case, there was one plane that landed on one wheel. And in some documentaries, they claim, oh, that was intentional. And if you come to find out, no, the plane kind of went out of control and that was not intentional. And there was another plane that you see these stunt people running for their lives. And they said, yeah, they were literally running for their lives because the stunt went out of control.
Oh my goodness.
And they left it in the movie, but the guy was praising it because he was saying, this is all practical effects. Those explosions you're seeing, those are real explosions. The planes they're using, that is not CGI. And so I'm like, I need to get a hold of a copy of Tora because it's a Fox movie. And I can see Disney locking it away in the vault. Oh, well, we don't want to insult the Japanese or anything, without realizing that the Japanese scenes were shot by Japanese directors and the American scenes were shot by an American director.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's impressive.
Yes.
I'm having trouble following you guys this moment.
I saw Kitty Cat up there.
No, she jumped has been mauling me for attention.
Oh, little kitty.
Yeah, In the Disguise is right. Yeah, it was an accident, so they nearly killed their extras when you see this one plane going out of control. But yeah, I saw Tora like years ago because, of course, my grandparents were around when Pearl Harbor got bombed.
Yeah.
And my grandfather remembered Japanese diplomats coming. He worked at the quartermaster, and this was before the war was declared. And he remembered them coming in and saying, we don't want a war with America. We're getting our oil from America. And so they told me these stories. I had a relative who was there when they liberated a death camp. And he never recovered from that. Never talked about it. Became an alcoholic. But you could see where that shook him up. I had a great uncle who helped clear the Burma Road. So World War II, yeah, it's always been such a big part of my life because I was around people who were there. So, yeah, if you ever grab a copy of Tora. And I need to see Midway because it sounds like it's fairly accurate from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing too. I know that, Laura was a big fan of it. She thoroughly enjoyed it as well. A friend of mine from New Orleans, who was one of the teachers that I worked with at my old school, he, history teacher. So he went to see it and thought that it was pretty historically accurate. But the biggest criticism I've heard so far has been the CGI. I heard the CGI is not not that great. But I have been posting, guys, in the chat. This is the website in order to get access to the editions of Star Wars that I was talking about. So as I said, it's not the easiest way, but it kind of has to be difficult because you're literally getting access to the entire film in its 2K or 4K restoration. And obviously that means it's going to be a giant file size, but also too, you do have to own the film in order to get access to it because of copyright restrictions and things like that. But what you were saying about Tora, I think kind of connects where I think the future of film preservation is individuals. It's people going out of their way, collectors who find these copies, like the copy that was found of the other film in Brazil, for example. And it's people finding these copies. And because technology is so advanced now, it's about going now and having your own access to these machines that can create these digital transfers. And yeah, it might take you longer than a professional might, but when you have people out there that want just to see a decent quality image or a decent quality edition of a film that has been played around with and edited, or in the case of Disney, being hidden in a vault, potentially, that's what people want. And so you'll have people that might have the VHS of it, might have the DVD of it, that want to get a higher quality image and maybe some commentaries too. Now, because of individuals, because of the internet, and because of all this technology that we have now, it's becoming easier than ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching videos about film restoration, and I mean, even Coppola oversaw a restoration of The Godfather, the original Godfather, because a lot of the colors have started fading. And it's like, that movie just came out, what, 71, 72, and they're already having like color problems with it. That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able, to preserve it, and that's the kind of stuff that needs to be protected. Most of the garbage that's coming out now that they're handing Best Picture to, that we're seeing in most theaters, do you think anybody's going to give a hoot in 50 years about stupid Elizabeth Banks and her stupid Charlie's Angels movie? No, it needs to be buried.
Well, also too, and I'm glad that you're on, because this is something that was announced just within the past week, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And that is the fact that they have now announced, this was breaking about a week ago, that Elizabeth Banks has been pegged to write and direct and star in a rendition, a reboot, a remake. It's a remake of The Invisible Man, now being dubbed The Invisible Woman.
Okay, I had heard a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
The Invisible Woman was an actual movie that was part of Universal needing money back in the 40s, or being greedy like most studios. Oh, well, if that was a success, we'll make a sequel and another sequel and another sequel. The Invisible Woman was a World War II sort of propaganda movie. And she was a spy, and they gave her the invisibility drug so that she could infiltrate the Nazis.
Okay.
And it was a charming movie. It wasn't as serious as the one with Claude Rains, The Invisible Man. It wasn't as serious as that one. But it was fun because the bad guys were being the typical, bad guys. And it was like, in one scene, she was kind of flirting with this one commander because she's trying to get information from him. And then she takes her clothes off when she goes invisible. And at the end, when she and the love interest hook up and they have a baby, and they're changing the diaper on the baby, and the baby goes invisible. And so it was like, okay, well, that was a cute little ending, to it. I don't know what Elizabeth Banks is going to be doing.
Yeah.
And she's falling up. She makes a movie that makes no money.
Horrible.
And
sorry I said that word.
But she makes a movie that makes no money, and then they give her a project, and you're like, Universal, are you really trying to lose money?
Freaking, giving you attention.
So that's my opinion about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and also just to reiterate, because I'm glad that you brought that up, because I did not know. That's why I wanted to bring you in on this, because you're the expert when it comes to these classic films. I did not know there was an original Invisible Woman film.
Yes, there was. I knew that.
So,
but just not Elizabeth freaking Banks.
Yes.
Please drop her in the middle of nowhere and no more movies for her.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice if she just stopped?
Yeah.
People that should join her on that island, right?
I know, right? And so just to confirm what it is, because I wasn't sure what they were going to do with it, Banks is developing an original take. Oh, that sounds great. An original take on the classic Universal title, and is attached to star in and direct the feature.
Woke and pro-feminist agenda, pro-abortion, all that. You know it.
Yeah.
But it's for a modern audience. It's for today's audience.
Oh my
She
God.
also will produce along with her husband, Max Handelman, via the duo's Brownstone Productions. So they're not making any money off of that. The 1940 original was centered on a department store model who becomes the test subject of an invisibility experiment. Upon becoming invisible, she gets back against her mean boss, but unwittingly falls into a caper involving gangsters.
Oh, good grief. And like I said, the other one, with it coming out and we were in the war, they decided to, kind of change it up a bit, because usually in the original Invisible Man with Claude Rains, the drug drives him insane and he becomes a megalomaniac and he wants to take over the world. Okay, well, now by the time the Invisible Woman comes out, here we are in the middle of this war, and she's like, yeah, I want to help the Allies. And they're like, okay, well, we've got this drug and we can control it now where you don't turn into a megalomaniac. She's serving her country. She's serving the good guys. She's beating up on the bad guys. But now Elizabeth Banks and her, we're going to do this and this and this. And it's like, whatever.
Yeah. And to add on to that point, it goes on to say that, where is it? Aaron Cressida Wilson, who penned The Girl on the Train, wrote the current draft of the script. So I heard terrible things about The Girl on the Train.
Me too.
Calm, Jazzy.
Are you getting scratched?
No,
oh my God. Oh,
aggressive rubbish.
I just looked up at the screen. Yeah, I don't know. Because how many times did I ask you, who the hell is Elizabeth Banks anyway? Because I didn't know who she was, and then the other day I found out she was in Hunger Games.
She was, yes. So she played the one that dressed in all those crazy dresses.
Food?
Wow. Okay. Because I was like, I don't remember her in that, and then it hit me, and I was like, oh wow. But yeah, Solar says it's going to be an invisible dumpster fire. That's so true. I knew people that read Girl on the Train and were not impressed by it. And I know the same author came out with a book that we read in our book club. And the book pretty much was like, your editor says, hey, can you knock out something in 2 weeks because you get Girl on the Train? And she was like, yeah, sure. It doesn't make any sense, but there you go. So I don't know. This is whatever,
And someone made a good point about how apparently Glinzer said Elizabeth Banks should. No, never mind. That's true. She should become the Invisible Woman. You're right about that. She should be invisible.
I have to point out, it took my husband bribing her with food to get her off me.
but someone else made a comment. I'm trying to give them. Oh, here it is. The Shiato said, just look at the poster for The Invisible Man. That's right, because they're remaking the Invisible Man classic film, and it's all about Elizabeth Moss. She's getting top billing for that, not the person playing the Invisible Man.
Who's Elizabeth Moss?
Elizabeth Moss is from The Handmaid's Tale. She's the lead actress in that.
Oh, used to be on Mad Men.
Yes, she was on Mad Men too.
Okay.
She's a great actress. She's a great actress. So I don't have a problem with her as being an actress in the film, but I thought that The Invisible Man was about the Invisible Man.
I know. I'm tired of all this men, evil, everything must revolve around women junk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the love interest that the Invisible Man had in the original movie was with Gloria Stewart, who is best known as Rose in Titanic. But at that time she was young and she was very beautiful, and she was just there, to be the, I'm very concerned about him. Can you all bring him back? Sort of thing. And it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. But why the heck are you going to have me called the Invisible Man, and then the story is centered around Handmaid's Tale woman? So
yeah. So all I can do is hope that it's mostly about his experiments and that she's just the biggest name, which is why she's getting top billing, because that makes sense to me.
Okay.
That makes sense to me when you have when someone's a bigger actor or actress, they get top billing. That I understand. that makes sense
Yeah.
to me. But
Yeah.
if it's going to
Yeah.
be, oh, we're going to take the story, but we're going to focus on the female character instead, you know, why don't you just call it the wife of the Invisible Man or
Yeah.
the love interest of the Invisible Man? Because then we'll know that it's supposed to be
Yeah.
about that person.
Oh my gosh. Well, somebody directed a question to you. Oh, John Early.
Yeah, do you
said,
like James
"Ask me
Bond?
that- Do I watch James Bond?" I'm not like a devout James Bond fan. Like I know Jeff at World Class, that's like his favorite franchise, I think. I've seen a lot of the movies. Sean Connery's still my favorite Bond. I even like Timothy Dalton, but I like Timothy Dalton. So, but no, I will not go to see the new movie. The more they talk, the less interest I have. They are getting ready to destroy another franchise. And I just, even if I'm not a fan of something, I don't want to see them do that. And this rewriting of history, this deletion of history, this wokeness or whatever they're doing, it's just I've had it up to my eyeballs, and I'm hoping that this phase is getting ready to run dry. And if it's bankrupted Hollywood, but then so be it. I don't care.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of us feel that way because we're just so tired of them taking these classic stories, these classic franchises, and trying to quote unquote update them for a new generation.
Update, take a dump on.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? That's basically what it means. That's basically what it
Yes.
means now. And my dad's the same way. My dad is a huge James Bond fan. He has the entire collection, every single one of them, next to his chair in a stack, and they watch it. He and my mom watch it like one every week. They watch one once a week, and they've gone through it several times now. And obviously he does not like the Pierce Brosnan ones for several different reasons. He likes GoldenEye because GoldenEye is good, but it looks like they're now doing what they did with Pierce Brosnan at the end of his run, where they literally have him on a tsunami, like literally surfing a tsunami.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Kind of like it's jump the shark moment,
Yes.
I think that's what they're going to be doing with Daniel Craig's James Bond in this film, only instead of it being something like silly and ridiculous like that, it's going to be political messaging that's going to kill it.
Yes. Because when I heard them say, well, his Aston Martin is going to be electric, I started laughing, and I was like, well, wonder how far he's going to go on an electric engine.
First of all, what crap is that? Think about electric cars.
Wait, Rosetta, hold on, Rosetta, what was that?
Electric cars are not better for the environment because the power they're getting them from is not better than oil anyways, and they take more power to do anything.
Well, speaking briefly on that, the bigger reason why electric cars are not better for the environment is because the batteries cannot be disposed of with, the batteries are very toxic for the environment.
There's a lot of reasons they're not better for the environment. There's a lot of reasons why these modern windmills aren't either.
Well, the windmills kill countless numbers of birds, but also are not worth
eagles.
Yeah, including eagles. And it's not worth, you don't get enough energy out of the amount of effort you put into it. But that's the reason why we need to go nuclear. But that's an entirely different discussion.
That's an entirely right.
Because I can talk all about why I love nuclear energy and why we should build a plant in every major city. Because guess what?
There's a nuclear power plant about 5 miles. Crow flies from me.
Oh, nice. And it's so funny because people say, but where are we going to put everything? And I'm like, were you not taught about Yucca Mountain when you were in school? This giant mountain that's already been dug out and created for us to, hold nuclear waste that we're not using because we're like, we can't use that. We can't use nuclear energy. You know what I want? I want a nuclear powered car. That's what I want. I want a little I want a little nuclear power plant in my car. I want to have the car from Back to the Future. That's what I want. I want to be able to drop my plutonium into my flux capacitor and drive around. That's what I want to be able to do.
An old flux capacitor actually came up during the friend who was on my cruise with me. We went to a talk with the captain and the chief engineer where they were kind of giving some, how the ship operates and what they do with the waste and how everything is set up. And the chief engineer, he was kind of, he's just kind of talking just regular. And he says, oh, and then we do this with the flux capacitor. And thankfully, most of the audience laughed because they got it. But you saw a couple of young people, what's the flux capacitor? I'm like, oh my
that's
gosh.
sad.
But I was so glad that 99% of the audience started laughing because they knew what he was referencing. So, oh my gosh. Yes, they will. They will remake Back to the Future.
And luckily, not until he passes away. Not until the what's his name?
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah. Right? Because he has made it very clear that it's like over his dead body. And Hollywood, guess what? They'll take him at his word. Oh, over your dead body. Okay. Once he dies, about a year or two later, guess what, everyone? We're making Back to the Future for a new generation. And it's going to be, it's going to...
I just had to stop myself because my normal response to that stuff is not appropriate.
Yes, I'm glad that you stopped yourself because Father Christopher Miller is now in the chat. Hail, Father.
Yes, I saw him. Hi, Father.
And he always misses the end of the stream, and so he's like, he's betting money that I'm nearing the end of the stream. Like we're getting there. I think I can go for another about 13 minutes or so. We'll get to the 2-hour mark because my back's holding up okay for the moment. Alice. John earlier says, do you remember when they made Climax Casino Royale and James Bond was American and was called Jimmy Bond? It doesn't get any worse than that. No, I do not. Tell me about it, Tina.
It's on YouTube. Just put up Casino Royale, and if it's the same thing that John Early's talking about, it was one of those old like Playhouse 90 TV shows from the 50s, and they Americanized him and they kept calling him Jimmy, and it was just like something that was just going through me. I was like, no, James Bond is not American.
Oh, I should have. Okay, this is a joke. All right, it's a comedy. That's what it is.
Well, I thought they were playing seriously because at one point they were torturing him off screen.
All right, the reason why I say it's a comedy is because Woody Allen's in it.
Oh, that Casino Royale.
Is that the one he's talking about?
Okay, that was the one from the 1960s, and yes, Woody Allen is in it.
Okay.
The one I'm talking about is a 50s. It was just one episode of, I think, CBS's Playhouse 90, and which was like every week they would have a dramatic story.
Okay.
This was an American adaptation of Casino Royale.
Okay, yeah, that sounds different.
And was called Jimmy. Okay, yes, there is a 60s version, and it's
Oh, that's see. I kind of want to watch that Casino Royale because I mean Woody Allen playing Jimmy Bond is what it sounds like.
Jimmy Bond,
that sounds wonderful.
It's and that movie, I vaguely remember that movie poster when I was growing up, and I don't think they could get away with it now. But I think the poster had a nude lady, but they had like painted her, and I know every time I saw the ad and was asking about, my grandma was like, "You don't need to see that.
You don't need to watch this trash.
You don't need to see that." Yeah,
there's nothing to see here.
Nothing to see here. And Darth Scipio was right. The American James Bond was Matt Helm with was it Dean Martin, Darth? So yeah.
That sounds fantastic for so many different reasons.
Yes. But yeah, everybody's bringing up a lot of really, really great movies. So I'm like, now they're gonna, here goes another franchise getting ready to bite the dust. So I guess the next one after James Bond will be what? Indiana Jones, because we got to finish ruining him. So
I don't know why we're getting another. I mean, seriously, after Crystal Skull, why would you make another one? Unless they are going to retcon Crystal Skull, which I don't think they're going to do. There's no reason for them to make this movie. There's no reason at all.
No. And someone on my personal Facebook did had a picture of Harrison Ford. I think it's from a new movie he's in. And I believe it's a Jack London adaptation.
Yeah, it's called The Wild.
And
it's called The Wild. And oh my God, the CG
oh my
looks terrible.
gosh. Oh, well, I only saw this picture on my Facebook because someone had memed it. And it said pretty much to the effect, this is what happens when you're 80 years old. You come off the mushrooms and realize you thought your dog was your co-pilot. And I was like, so Harrison Ford asked Han Solo to be killed off so he can show up and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Yeah. For that franchise, the jump the shark moment was the launch the refrigerator. Like
that's what I need a zipper for my lip right now.
Wait, what was that, Rosetta? I
need a zipper for my lip right now because there's so many things I want to say about them doing this stuff. No more remakes, no more retellings, no more all this stuff. Just stop.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Everything is so anti-male woke, anti-white woke. You freaking little bigots.
There we go. That's one way of putting it. I'm sure there's other words that you wanted to say.
Yes, there were. I'm trying so hard to be good for Odin.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just stop bashing men.
Oh my gosh. And of course, Alex McCarthy, who of course likes, what is it, R.I.P.D.
He likes all bad things.
I like Crystal Skull. Alex, I walked out after the fridge scene. That was early enough so I could get my money back. I was like, no, I'm not sitting here anymore. I'm tired.
Good on you. I didn't. I somehow sat through the rest of it.
I was movie he doesn't like.
Wait, what don't you like?
I was asking Alex if there's a crappy movie that he doesn't like.
But I think Captain Marvel was the first one that he said, "Oh, I actually didn't like that one."
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. It sucks that he actually didn't like. Wow.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
But no, yeah. I'm just kind of at this point, I'm glancing at the movies that I have on my shelf, and I know that these people these days, they want me to, you have to identify with this and identify with that. And I mean, I'm looking at, I've got Gladiator, Godfather, The Right Stuff, which I lost count of how many times I saw that movie. And Robin Hood with Errol Flynn. It was like, I fell in love with movies because I loved movies, and my mom and my grandmother taught me to love movies. But now this thing like, well, you can't go see this unless whatever. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yes, I love that reference every single time. I love that reference. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I miss that commercial.
Me too. But no, I think like for Christmas, I'm gonna pull. I thank Bruce for the movies that he sent me. Yes. I need to pull out a few of those, and I'm gonna get out some of my old Warner Brothers movies and look at The Adventures of Robin Hood with Errol Flynn, or The Seahawk with Errol Flynn, or really blow their minds and look at Gone with the Wind.
No, you can't watch that movie. Oh, you can't watch that movie.
I can't watch that movie because, and it's like these idiots seem to forget that Hattie McDaniel was the first African American to win an Oscar.
Yep. But we can't talk about that because of the role she played.
We can't talk about that.
Because of the role she played.
Yes.
It's like it doesn't count to them.
Exactly. And it's like, but you all are always with this and this and that. There have been a few years where I feel like the Oscars, they were handing out Oscars to African Americans, and it was like, okay, we give you an Oscar, now go shut up. Yeah. Like the year Halle Berry won one for whatever that she won the Oscar for. And I think Denzel Washington won another Oscar that same year. And that was the year that I think Russell Crowe got cheated out of his Oscar for A Beautiful Mind. Yeah. Because A Beautiful Mind cleared it, and that was the Oscars in that mode of, well, it's the year of the woman, it's the year of the black, it's the year of the this, it's the year of the that.
Always something.
Instead of giving it to the person who always something.
Yeah.
Instead of giving it to somebody who deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Monsters Ball. Thank you so much.
Whatever's in it, and who gives a crap what label they have on them, as long as they did a good freaking job.
I know,
and they did a good job.
And with Monsters Ball, it wasn't that good. The performance wasn't even that great. I've never to me, I think the best performance Halle Berry's ever given was in John Wick 3. To be perfectly honest, that's been the only role where I'm like, oh, I actually like her in this movie. Because every other role she does, I'm like, okay. But yeah, I totally see where you're coming from, and that's why that's why the Oscars are tanking, because everyone realizes, oh, it's a complete political campaign now. And I mean, it's always been campaigning. Yes. There's always been campaigns, but you have so many years from the early times, especially, where the people that won, you're like, no, but they deserve that. They put the work in.
Yes. And really, I'll try to keep this short, but it's just a story. When I was commuting to work one evening, and this was the day after the Oscars when Denzel Washington won Best Actor for Training Day. And a lot of the blacks on the bus were celebrating, and they were like, yeah, he beat that. Yeah, and they were using language I'm not going to use. Yeah. And there was a lady I used to talk to on the bus, and it was a black lady, and she leaned over and she said, I haven't even seen A Beautiful Mind. And I said, watch it when you get a chance. And then tell me if you think, I said, Denzel, fine actor as he is, tell me if you think Russell Crowe should have won an Oscar for that. And I knew Russell won, the year before for Gladiator. And we saw each other a few days later, and she leaned over because she didn't want everybody else on the bus hearing it. She leaned over and whispered to me, Russell Crowe got cheated. Yeah. And I said, yeah, he did. But that was one of those years they had to make a point, and instead of them, Denzel already had a couple of Oscars under his belt, or at least one. I know he won the Best Supporting for Glory. But you're going to bypass one really good actor, for another. And when I can still go back and look at A Beautiful Mind, and I'm stunned by how much Russell put into that role. At that time, John Nash, who he portrayed, was still alive. He went and watched Nash teach a class at Princeton. And because he was like, I don't understand the math, I don't understand the physics, but at least I want to try to get into that character. And Hypern is absolutely right. It's unfortunate he was passed, and no hate toward Halle Berry, but I forgot she was in it. Absolutely. It's just like I saw Monsters Ball once, and I wanted to crawl into a corner in a fetal position. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is not good. But I'm so tired of that.
I know.
And to Daniel's comment there, it would actually not be that hard, considering in the actual books we were the villains anyways in Starship Troopers. Or the anti-human would not be hard. Yeah, and I would not put it past them to try.
Yeah. And let me go ahead and get to a couple of comments too. Dan Montgomery said, "What was up with the pointless swing through the trees scene?" Going back to the terrible Crystal Skull. Yeah, that was also a pretty bad moment.
They thought they were George of the Jungle.
What was that?
They thought they were George of the Jungle.
They did, exactly. Or Tarzan.
Yeah. I like to go for the comedy side.
Father for Christopher Miller says, I mentioned the movie 2012 in the homily this morning. That's awesome. Did you do English or Latin form today? Well, the parish I'm a part of, they only do the Latin Mass once a month, sadly. So I had to do the Norvis Ordo today. He'll know what I'm talking about there. But my plan is to next week, hopefully, be able to go to, there's a church an hour away that does the Latin Mass every Sunday. So I might try and do that next Sunday because I prefer it so much more. And let me see. Anyone else with any comments that I may have missed?
And I know Advent starts tomorrow.
Starts today, actually.
Oh, it starts today. Okay.
Yeah, it's the first Sunday of Advent today. So someone in the chat earlier was saying, what's Advent? It's the beginning of the Christmas season, essentially. So there's a 4-week penitential season, similar to Lent, but it's like a mini Lent almost. And it's all in preparation for the birth of Christ, which is what Christmas is supposed to be about. But
Yeah,
Exactly.
some Christian groups celebrate it, some don't. It's not just Catholic, but it's not all churches. So
yeah, not all Christian
Right.
churches do, but the main group would definitely be the Catholic Church. But it's not just Catholics.
Not just cat, and I think Hanukkah may start either today at sunset or tomorrow at sunset. So happy Hanukkah to any of you.
Does it? Because I thought, because I think we looked it up. I think Hanukkah actually goes through Christmas this year.
Oh wow, yeah, but it was one. I ask Alexa's lying to me again because I had asked her about it.
I
And
don't
she
know,
said, yes, it starts like.
I'll say let me just go ahead and try and pull it up. So Hanukkah 2019. So it begins on sundown on December 22nd and lasts until sundown on Monday, December 30th for 2019.
Orange Hat did apparently learn something about locking up his Alexa.
Yeah.
I say Alexa makes a lot of mistakes.
She does. She does.
3 times in a row I got him, and all of them were really bad and inappropriate things I made it do to him. Now he won't even look at my links without locking it up and turning it off.
Soul Assassin, Odin, you mean you never seen Halle Berry's brilliance in Swordfish? I've heard John Flickinger talk about the fact that basically she's known for showing her boobs in that movie, so that doesn't do anything for me. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, that's not how you sell me on a movie. You know how I feel about that crap and basic stuff anyway. John Early says, did Christian Bale deserve an Oscar for The Fighter, All-Father? Yeah, he was great. I like Christian Bale a lot. I forgot who he was up against that year, so I can't tell you whether or not someone else was more deserving, but his performance was amazing. Also, the fact that he lost so much weight in between Batman is just, I have to give credit for that. Got to give credit for that, for sure.
Sorry, I should have looked at chat and seen Gentry's comments.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, Will Gentry, always making those kind of comments. And then someone had made a comment that I agree with. Glinzer says, I can't hear Hanukkah without hearing Adam Sandler. Yes. Holy Hanukkah, it's time for Hanukkah.
Tom learned some Hanukkah songs too, actually.
And then
I like the old days, so.
I love how in that song he lists off all the people, like all the Hollywood celebrities that are also Jewish. But then he gets to one random person and he's like, so-and-so, not a Jew. Oh, what a brilliant man. Well, anyway, we got to start wrapping things up here. So, Rosetta, any last minute comments or anything you want to say?
Well, let's start it with the traditional YouTube sucks and Doc Disney.
Yes.
We got to start there before I do anything else. So, now more myself here. I will still do my marathon tomorrow. It will not be the high energy psycho artistic bouncing stream it usually is because I am still severely injured, so I'll be kind of gimpy and limited. However, to those who actually want to come over and hang out, just don't expect it to be as sedated as it is over here at Odin's.
It won't be nearly as clean.
Every stream I do for a reason, and leave it at that.
There you go. And then also, and also, just because I know that's you are still helping out the writer from Bounding into Comics.
Yes, we've over the last week I have managed to get almost 300 to him, which isn't too bad for one person doing it.
Yeah, great.
He's trying to get some people that are larger in the community to try to share and help him, but again, it's $8,000 in medical plus higher expenses now for all the day-to-day stuff because of what they're going through because of her stroke. And she's got leukemia and cancer on top of that he's been dealing with for a long time. So,
wow. Well, again, it's awesome that you're doing that you've been able to raise money for him and definitely raise a lot of awareness about it too. So for anyone that does want to help out with that, can you send the link to his PayPal again?
Yeah,
so that way.
Take me a moment to bend that well. Ow.
So that way we can get some more people hopefully setting over there.
I'm low and gimpy right now. Bending's not the fun part right now.
Oh, no. Well, if you find it, just send it my way and let me know. And then
I've got it tagged here. I just have to reach the mouse.
Okay.
I've gotten to the point I could type that thing up really fast in my chat without even needing to look for the link.
All right, cool. I got it. And so I'll go ahead and post it. So this is the PayPal. Again, this is a writer over on...
He's a writer for Bounding into Comics. He lost his dad a few years ago to cancer. He's been the in-home care for his mother since, because she's gone through cancer previously. She has a rare and complicated form of leukemia. She also had a stroke on Halloween night.
Oh my God.
That's $8,000 of medical bills for that one after insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So if you can even just give $1,
he's going through a lot. And also, even with everything he's going through, taking care of her, everything else, my meltdown night, he stayed up 2 nights on the camera with me off stream, taking care of me and walking me through it. So
yeah, so if you can give even just $1, obviously a little bit goes a long way. And then Rosetta is also offering for certain donations. She's offering some artwork. She's offering some jewelry as well.
And I've got things even like dragon bookmarks and stuff like that are beaded and all kinds of stuff.
So you can get some, as she mentioned last time, you can get some of your holiday shopping done while also at the same time donating to someone in need.
Community. This is a fandom writer, absolute fandom menace writer. He absolutely has our backs on stuff. He writes stories defending us and speaking out for us. He's absolutely a part of our community, even if he's one that's not as well known because he's a more recent writer and kind of a small account.
Yeah. So anything you can give would be great. And thank you for doing that for him, because I know that, it's hard, especially when, all the stuff's going on right now in the fandom, in the community, and it seems like sometimes there's not enough time to step back for a second and say, let's try and do something. So the fact that you've been doing that's been awesome. So
yeah, and shout out to Stephen Walton. He actually basically preempted half of his Fourth Wave show last week to bring me and Drew on to talk to people about trying to help him to start getting credits out and stuff. And I stayed there and did the stream with him when it was scheduled to, and that was the night I threw my back out. So I was still fundraising after it. So
wow. Well,
charity's important, people.
Yes.
Yes,
absolutely. Tina, what you got for us?
I think I'm just about covered.
So had a great time on the cruise, drank up the whole thing, has been detoxing ever since. Wants to direct an episode of whatever, Jason Momoa is working on with a little glass of wine with Steph. Yeah.
I'm still waiting for you to be sitting there with the wine going, come on, take the clothes off for the show. No cameras here. Yes, there are. You can't see them.
Work it for me, Jason. Work it for me. No, not. I don't really have that much going on. I mean, entering December, I'm going to try to start my own Advent studies. There's a website called YouVersion, or I also think it goes by Bible.com, and they reach across all denominations, and they have like different plans that you can participate in on your own or as part of a group. So I'll probably start going into one of those, find something for Advent so that I can start studying up through Christmas time. I did it last year, and it actually made me feel closer to the holiday, even though I know what it's supposed to be. Cool. So, don't really have any plans. Like I said, going to start working towards my birthday cruise in February. Yes, Father Christmas said, better hurry. It starts today. Yes, I already have about 3 or 4 plans. I need to look over them and see which one I'm going to select. But birthday cruise coming up, and that was out of Miami, brand new ship. She just crossed the Atlantic and was in New York for a little bit, came down to Miami. I've already had a couple of travel agent friends that got a preview of her, and they're like, you are going to love this ship. So I'm looking forward to that. I like that new ship smells.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm jealous of all the excitement that you've been having with your travels. And so I know I know that you are definitely well deserving of it, and also happy anniversary, 4th anniversary. You said, I believe, of your retirement.
Fourth anniversary, and I posted something on Facebook today, and it was more like I don't miss the work, but I think about everybody that's still on the department and whether it's part of my old unit or the dispatchers, the people in the property room that taking the evidence, the officers, most definitely. And because they're out there on the front line, and the morale is low. I'm not going to get into all the details about that, but I know the morale is low. Our mayor, Bruce, can attest, stinks.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a hoot about the fire department, the police department, the paramedics. It's all surface stuff. Make everything look good for when Derby, starts and all of that. So, but no, my hat is off to everybody that I left behind, and they can't retire soon enough.
Well, I'm glad that you've been enjoying the retirement and have been able to do things like these cruises. And welcome back, because
thank you.
Steph, of course, we actually didn't have too many streams while you were gone, because I had my vacation this past week, which kind of got in the way of it a little bit, but Steph did a great job, and I know that we missed you. And so Steph, hope you're having fun at the event that you're at right now, and and I hope that you listen back to that Jason Momoa section, because it's quite a moment.
I wrote that down. I'm gonna send her the links.
Yes.
We girls kind of like our man candy as much as guys like to look at girls.
Yes, absolutely.
Deal with it. It's not a male thing.
It's a biology thing.
Yes,
it's a biology thing.
Have a tendency to objectify each other at some point.
Yes.
Deal with it.
Well, thank you again for joining me on the bonus stream. And Laura, hopefully your 49ers are doing fine. If you're listening back to this or still listening by chance, hope everything's going well there.
Our toxic fandom. I'm getting all kinds of messages from the guys in fandom lecturing me to go lay down and rest my back.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I think that whatever is best for your back is what you should do, because a happy back is a happy life. Doesn't rhyme, but it's true.
I got trampled at 11.
But anyway, thanks for joining me on this one. Rosetta, you joining me for a second stream for this month. So thank you for joining me again. And Tina, thanks for joining me as well. Laura, thanks for joining. And thank you all again for your tremendous amount of support. And y'all are awesome. And let me go ahead and just shout out, since we are still technically, this is going to be the last of the November streams for Patreon shout outs and Subscribe Star shout outs before we update for December. So let me shout out for animation commentator Brian P, Chinaman, Dion, Edward Coleman, Elizabeth M, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Fan Addicts of Film, who just got processed today, so I'll add him to the list. Harold Francis, The Hunkin' Chunkin' Funkin' Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ, Jonathan Jarenbeck, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Patrick Layden, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen. Thank you, Rosetta, for being on the stream. Sir Lancelato, Theodora, Theodore Benden, The DJD Show, Those Two Ball Guys, and US Dutch Kitty. Thank you for being my Patreon supporters. And also a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star peeps, Larry, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2Cool99, Darkstar57, Laura Story, Alex McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadan G. Adams, and ZK Man, and of course, History Girl, Tina B. Again, very sorry about that weird mix-up with Subscribe Star.
We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But thank you everyone for watching the stream today. I know that there's a lot of things to do on a Sunday, so thank you to about the 50 or so that we've been hovering around. We had, I think, 60 at one point that have been watching the stream today. You guys are freaking awesome. If you want to support the channel in any way, check the links that have been dropped by Heimdall, and of course, there's several links in the description of the video as well. If you want to support my Cyber Monday shopping, check out my PayPal account. But you don't have to.
Shameless.
Gotta be shameless every now and then because I've tapped out my budget from Black Friday, so I can't buy anything else for now. But anyway,
I wish I had thought of that. I just placed an Amazon Prime Pantry order. Darn it!
Oh man. But anyway, you are all amazing and beautiful people. Midnight's Edge After Dark's coming in at the last minute. What's going on? If I say you just missed it. Anyway, you guys are amazing. One shout out because someone did subscribe during the stream. Thomas Connolly, welcome to the channel. Everyone else, you guys are freaking amazing. Have a wonderful night and day wherever you are in the world. And as always, God bless.